Welcome to My Love of Life Energy. I'm Anna Scott, your host. I love beautiful, rich conversations that reveal the truth, beauty, and uniqueness of each person I meet, and I'm honored to share them with you. Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to my podcast, My Love of Life Energy. And I'm continuing my series where people are reaching out to me and I don't know them. And we're going to see where the conversation goes. But when I accept somebody on to the show, I have to be moved and touched by their story. And that is my guest today, Rachel Krentzman, who is the author of the book As Is and the author of Yoga for a Happy Back. So welcome, Rachel.
Thank you for having me.
It's an honor. I'm so curious. What made you decide to write your memoir?
It's a very good question. I first wrote a couple of books on yoga for spinal health, and that's my main, profession. I'm a yoga therapist, I'm a physical therapist. But throughout my life, I've always been a writer. I've always enjoyed writing in journals. And I collected many, many journals over the years. And I always wrote about my personal journey. But my first two books were really much more professional. I think it took a lot of courage for me to write the memoir, to be honest, and I needed to build the confidence. So I wrote first about what I know and what is a little bit less vulnerable, which is my professional work, which I believe is helping a lot of people as well. But when I finished publishing those two books, I felt, I just felt called to write this. This was the book, in fact, that I always wanted to write. But I don't think I had like I said, the confidence, the courage to do that until I actually realized that I can write and I can publish other books. And the other factor that really touched me is that after I wrote my Yoga for a Happy Back book, I included a little bit of personal information. So a few small stories about my own story. And it's interesting. And the rest of it was all technique and, alignment based cues and really good sequences. And everyone who commented on my book commented on the personal stuff. So I learned from that people are very interested in the real story, that touches them and that interests them, and it gave me the courage to write my memoir.
Can I ask you, who did you become by writing this memoir?
Who did I become? I think it's a lot more of becoming myself, really. A little bit less of the false self and a little bit more of the true self. I guess, self with a capital S versus small self, connected to my ego. Um, and it helped me shed some of the shame, some of the self-judgment that I had, and helped me just connect to something greater, which means that I'm just bigger than my story of what happened to me or my background or where I was born or the family I was born into. So I think it just helped me move to another level in becoming more me.
Wow. What's that like? I'm so curious.
Are you curious?
Yeah, I am. I'm
I
like,
think it's a
what?
work in progress. I don't think there's any, I don't think
Yeah,
we arrive anywhere. I
yeah.
feel like we always have our struggles, and that's a journey here on this planet. So, but I would say that before I wrote the memoir, I identified more with my story and my shortcomings, and now I see them as something that I share with other people, that other people also have similar wounds or similar traumas or similar shortcomings, and that we're not that different from one another. So I carry less of the heaviness of the burden of what happened to me, and rather I'm using it, I hope, more as a way to talk to people and to connect with people.
That is so beautiful what you just said.
Thank you.
Can you say more about what you saw, that how it connects you all? That I can share perhaps a personal
Sure.
story
Yeah, so
in the
I
book.
actually just taught a workshop yesterday, and it was, probably the one that I shared the most about my story, and it's in the book. It's all in the book. And, I talked a lot about our wounds. And one of the wounds that I suffered was my father was arrested, and he was a rabbi. And we were very religious. It was a very shocking kind of realization when we found out he was arrested. We had no idea about anything going on. And what ensued was kind of a fall from grace. And we were on the front page of the newspaper, and it was a big shame in our city. And there was a lot of judgment and criticism, and people shunned us, our family. But the hardest part of that story wasn't actually the fact that he got arrested and went to jail. The hardest part was that when I confronted him in jail and when I confronted my father and asked him for more honesty, for more connection, for something real out of our conversations, he essentially rejected me and told me that he doesn't want to see me again. And we didn't talk for 10 years after that. And so what I was sharing with my students in this workshop was how we learn, um, how we learn ideas or beliefs about the world and ourselves from events in our life. And in that moment, I felt that if I was real or vulnerable, that I would be rejected. That was sort of the lesson I learned from that episode. And it became sort of, deeply embedded in my subconscious in a way that I felt I always had to achieve or be perfect or be doing something in order to be appreciated. And that if I was too honest or I asked for what I needed, I wouldn't receive it in return. So I rarely did that. And this is how you sort of live your life. Something happens, you build an idea about it. You build an idea about your worth, about your place in the world, your relationships to other people. And then everything from there sort of, keeps replaying itself based on that inner belief. So what my book is about is really understanding those deep-seated core beliefs that run our lives, and some of them don't really serve us very well. Like this belief didn't serve me very well. It helped me, it protected me from getting hurt again, right? And so I don't want to be judgmental about it. But in the workshop, when I talked to my students, we were all sharing what is the one thing in your life. There's always one or two or three things that have happened that sort of shake your ground or kind of crack your windshield. Um, and make you stop and think about what's happening in your life, or what do I believe, or where am I going, or is this true? And so we really explored that together in this workshop. And I just felt that we're really all the same. We all come into the world with certain ideas, we're taught certain things, we have certain experiences. There's usually an event that shakes those beliefs. And what we tried to do together was really investigate what are those beliefs that are limiting me, and then how do we transform them. And when I do that in my workshops, um, it's just we're all the same. We all have our stuff. We all have the things that hurt us, the ways that we protect ourselves, the way that we show up in the world. And it's an opportunity to kind of be more honest about that.
It sounds like you were able to be with, well, I'm curious. I don't know. I just realized I was making up a story. When you began to experience that rejection, what did you see about it? What did you learn
In
about
the
being with it? Just the journey of it. I mean, rejection's a powerful human wound.
What I started to notice, I think, when I started to be with it, was that there was a lot of grief and a lot of sadness, um, that I don't think I had the chance to experience or sit with. And so the hardest part was really grieving the loss of that father who should have been there for me, and he wasn't.
Mhm.
And feeling that grief was hard. And instead of doing that for many years, I just shut down. I kind of became very self-sufficient, didn't show any weakness, became very self-reliant because I don't want to appear weak, especially in front of men. So that kind of became my way of operating in the world. But when I was able to soften and kind of be with it and be with the pain, it was hard, it was sad, I had to go through it. You can't sort of bypass it. I had to go through the pain of feeling that and feeling this loss of this, young girl who just wanted her daddy to love her and he didn't, or he didn't show it. He couldn't show it for whatever reason.
And when you sat with your pain, what did you discover?
More pain.
Did you ever get through it?
Yeah, yeah, I hope so. I feel like there are layers because it wasn't just that wasn't just the story. There was a lot more involved in the story. There's a difficult relationship with my mother as well, and family issues and things that ensued after that big event in my life, which is where the book starts, kind of at the big trauma, but it doesn't end there. It kind of becomes a journey. But also through different practices like yoga specifically and mindfulness and somatic awareness, I would say that the more I sat with it, the more it softened. It didn't control me, and I think running away from it was more harmful than sitting with it. And I was able to sit with it, and it starts to just become a little less painful eventually. And I started to have better experiences in my life, better relationships in my life.
So you spoke about somatic awareness and somatic. We talked a little bit about somatic therapy. I think that's what you
Mm-hmm.
said. For
Call me.
people who, yeah, for people who don't know that, will you share what that
Mm-hmm.
is for you and what you've learned?
Sure. So in the beginning, what I did was start with talk therapy, like people do, and it was very helpful. And I do believe very much in psychology and talk therapy. But I tend to be someone who connects a lot to my body and I like movement. And so movement was always a way of getting rid of stress for me. Um, and but I wasn't very connected to what I felt inside. So I was connected to the physical body, but more through sports and through kind of active movement. And what I learned over the years is, especially through yoga, because it's slower and it forces you to slow down and become more aware, is how to pay attention to little cues in your body. So somatic psychotherapy or somatic psychology is a lot about there is talk involved, but it's less about the story and telling the story about what happened and understanding it intellectually, and more about feeling what happens in my body when I talk about this or when I think about this, and starting to connect to those sensations and really diving deep into those sensations and working a little more with the body rather than just with the mind. So it just brings in a lot more body awareness.
And what did you, in your journey, when you speak about it through the book, what did you share? What do you want people to know?
I want people to know that the body does hold our stories. And excuse me, this is a big part of my recent work is how our posture and our structure holds our stories. And that it's not enough to understand and to intellectualize and to talk about it, that we need to bring the body into healing as well. So it's just about moving into the importance of the body in the healing process and not just the mind, that they're both important. So we talk about like a top-down approach where you want to understand and intellectualize and that affects the physical, but we also can work bottom up through the body. And so that's the important message about healing, that healing and trauma and emotions live just as much in the body as they do in the mind, and that we can work with the body to heal from that.
And what does, in your, like we say the word healing,
Mm-hmm.
like we all hear it, but I'm curious when you explore it and what do you understand about the word healing? What does it look like to you? Experience
Oh,
like?
it's a good question. I think the word healing is that you're not on autopilot. You don't, you're not reactive to life, and you become a lot more responsive to life,
Mm.
so that there's always a pause or a little bit of waiting, noticing what am I feeling? What is this person saying? What's my reaction to this? That there's a little space between something happening and my reaction to it. And so,
It, go
mhm.
ahead. Sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
so there's just a little bit of a pause and an ability to respond in an intelligent way.
What it sounds like, I've never asked anybody that question, so now I'm really
Mm.
looking. It sounds like it's like rather than an automatic defensive, there's a natural flow of energy back and forth.
Yeah, and that there's a space before, and a noticing on both parties, let's say. If you're going to communicate well, you want to notice how you feel when someone says something to you. You want to notice how you respond to them. And we don't want to go back to our automatic patterns. We want to make sure that we're responding from our best self or our highest self.
And what did you, with your healing, what have you gotten to have that you didn't have before?
Number one, I think something that I've always been searching for, which is really an authentic life, a life that is mine, that I choose, and that feels very true and authentic, so that I'm not living a life that feels false in some way. So I feel like that's the greatest gift, to be able to live authentically and have honest and open relationships with people. And also, I think it gave me the ability to connect with others who are struggling, who are suffering. So in my work with individuals or patients, I feel that it's easier to just be real and to make a real connection from the heart because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of what's in the heart. So I've kind of
Mm.
faced it.
So when you, again, I'm going to be, because I love to explore, is what does real mean to you? I'm so curious. Like, what does that look like?
Um, I think it just means that I think people are craving connection in this day and age. I think that we're very good at putting on a show and a persona, but I mean just really speaking from the heart and being with someone, truly being fully present with someone, learning how to listen and learning how to be listened to, so that it's not I don't know how to say it other than the word kind of artificial or fake, but I think a lot of times we're afraid to show our true self.
What I think I'm hearing, I'm not sure if this is correct, is like, because real to me is when, if I notice that I'm angry, I'm honest, I'm angry.
Mm.
If I'm tense, I'm tense,
Hmm.
but I don't deny what's true inside of me.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Is
And
that,
but that you can show up without being reactive and blaming or kind of creating a story around it and just say, oh, I'm kind of feeling this way right now. I need to check why. Or so it's just a deeper understanding. And when I think we do that without blaming someone else or putting it on someone else, then people respond better as well. And so the connections are deeper and they're more authentic.
one of my truism is to be accountable for what's true for me.
Hmm.
And, and that way, you know, I don't create so many messes
Yeah.
outside and I give people warnings.
Yeah. And it's also okay to, just be honest and be kind to yourself, even if you're feeling an emotion that's not comfortable.
Mhm. Did you learn? Oh, I'm raising my hand. Isn't that wonderful?
Thumbs up.
How do I'm sorry about that. I guess I really did want to say thumbs up. What were you surprised about in your book?
In terms of while writing
What
it,
surprised? Yeah, what surprised you?
what surprised me was I think that I realized that it's not always the big things, the huge events in life, the big traumas that happen to us that have the most impact. I think that was surprising. I thought that this event with my father or the arrest or this rejection was the big thing. But as I started to dig deeper, I think I was surprised to find that these little, small little things that happened or little messages I got from people might have had more of a significant impact on me than I would care to admit. And so very often it's not one big thing, but a series of little stories that lead you to believe something. Um, and so it's sometimes hard to discover what the issue is because it's not a big thing. It's a lot of little small things that we hear over and over again.
What did you learn to share with people? Like what's the from that?
I learned that that I think my work is meaningful, that I can help heal people, whether it's through the body, and maybe it's just, by healing their back pain. It doesn't have to be something, extremely emotional, but that, any way that I can touch someone or help them see something in a different way, whether it's how they move or how they think, is meaningful because different people need different approaches. And not everyone needs a different way to, I guess, connect with their own issues. So there's not a one size fits all approach. And I think I realized that for me, because I have the body and the mind, it helps me connect with people on both levels.
What I don't know if this is true. So what I think I'm hearing is that you're inviting people to really slow down
Mm, yes.
and really pay attention to the micro.
Yep. Look, I tell everyone in my classes, in the beginning, I needed to move intensely, and I was always working and always working out and always doing in order to feel something. So I would say that I didn't feel a lot in the beginning many years ago, and that in order for me to feel something, I had to do something big. There needed to be a big stretch or a big, you know, feeling of I'm working my legs really hard right now. And then that gave me a sensation that I exist, that my body is here. And so, yes, I think that a lot of us in this society, especially, are working hard, are doing a lot, are doing very extreme sports in order to feel something. And that it took time, but eventually I had to learn how to slow down and how to pay attention and how to notice the little things. And if we don't slow down, we don't notice the little things or the quiet things that you don't hear. But that's where I think the wisdom is in the little things and in the quiet things.
What the sense that I'm getting as you're speaking is inside of us is like this snowball. Like the first little grafts of snow get together, and we can see it in that if we're slowing down, but if we don't, it becomes big enough that we then have to respond from a big enough.
Mm, I never
Like
thought
this,
of it that way. That's very interesting. Yeah. And in a way, we have to melt it, maybe melt the snowball.
yeah.
So we bring a little more warmth to the area instead of kind of letting things grow around it. We start to let the outer parts kind of melt away until we really find what it
Mm.
is we need to connect to, and then we can work with that. But there's no way to know what you're doing unless you pay attention.
Well,
Otherwise, we're
to
just kind
exert.
of keep repeating our old patterns, whether it's physical patterns of movement or thought patterns. There's no way to change without slowing down.
Mhm. I mean, it seems that like a beautiful melody, very lyrical and like a beautiful long walk through a forest that you're inviting people into, like with a beautiful brook and
Mm.
to enjoy it.
Yeah, and in my book, I feel that I'm just very honest about the things I went through. And the other message is really that it's not a linear process, that we're always like peeling layers of the onion, There's always something else, something else. But if we're on this path and we're on the path of growth and we're on the path of healing in some way or wanting something to change, this is the process. And sometimes there are ups and sometimes there are fallbacks, setbacks. But we keep going. We keep moving sort of in an upward trajectory. It's just it's not linear. That it's a
The
lot of
thing
ups
that
and downs.
um, it appears, and I don't know that this is true, but it seems like there's just so much more ease in your life because of this.
I think that I think that that's true. I wouldn't say that life is easy. I've been through, a lot of things still, and there's still dynamics and things that come up. I just feel that I can remain more calm when things are stormy on the outside. Whereas before I
Mhm.
felt like the storm kind of carried me away. It was constantly, if there was a storm, I would be, blown this way, that way, and I would suffer more. So I feel that I have more tools to suffer less. That's what I would say.
I think that's where we all want to go.
I mean, I'm being honest. I don't think, there's nirvana, and that's the point. The point is that we're not as swayed by all of the turmoil around us. And there's a
Mm.
lot, there's a lot collectively right now just in the world, and there's a lot, and then we have our personal stuff. So for me, I'm happy if I'm less ruffled by difficulties and that I can maintain my calm and my sense of self, so that I can respond better to life.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's it's how do we handle the challenges with more grace.
Hmm.
I mean,
Exactly.
there's um there's a feeling that you have, and I think that's it. It's being with yourself with grace.
Mm. Yeah, I
Is
would say
that
that, and also a lot more compassion for myself than I had in the past. I think there was, in addition to whatever I struggled with, there was always this critic, you know, that you're not doing good enough and you can do better, and why is this happening and why do I do this? And so there's almost like two voices. There's the initial feeling that you have, and then there's this critic that's like, that's not okay.
Mm.
And the critic is really the problem more than the actual difficulty. And as I work with people, I see that a lot of people carry this critic, and we're our hardest critic. We're our worst judge. And that's so unnecessary. I think if we can get rid of that. And
there there was a man I sat with the other day, and he didn't like his numb feeling, and then he criticized himself for his numb feeling. I'm like, oh, there's the pattern. Can I just notice that I'm numb?
mhm.
Is all feelings okay? And I think that that's what you're saying. It's what we feel is what we feel.
Yeah, and not to be so hard on yourself and to criticize that, and to say, okay, if you want to feel different, that's okay, or if you don't want to feel as numb, that's okay to have that wish. But to beat yourself up for feeling a certain way is not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are coming to the end of our time, Rachel. And is there what's your wish, or what's how do you want to close this? What do you want to send out into the world?
I want to send out to the world that if you have a story and you want to tell it, to start writing, because I think writing has been a huge gift for me. Not everyone connects to it, but for me, it's been a huge way of processing my feelings. And whether you publish or not, I think writing things out helps give perspective. And I feel very lucky that that has been my tool. So I encourage people to do the same. And I also hope that in telling my story, other people are inspired a little bit to change their life or change the way that they operate in the world, that there is a way. Um, and I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not. It takes courage. It takes time. It takes discipline. There's no quick fix, but that there is hope. if someone's struggling with addictions or someone's struggling with, difficult feelings, that there is hope. And that there are a lot of people who share that same feeling, to not feel so alone.
I could just feel the depth of your compassion. It's so beautiful. So as is, it's available on Amazon, I'm assuming, or where can
Mhm.
people find your book?
Yep, it's on Amazon and all Kindle and all the platforms. They can find it if they go to my website, which is rachelkrentzman.com. It has all the platforms there. And it's called As Is, a Memoir on Healing the Past Through Yoga.
Beautiful. It's been an honor to speak with you. Thank you,
Thank
Rachel.
you. Thank you so much.